Support for Central Valley Daily comes from Petunia's Place, celebrating Independent Bookstore Day Saturday, April 26 with a special story time at 11 a.m. Drawings, giveaways, and book signings at 1 p.m. featuring authors Christina Lynch, Janine Raymond, Francesca Parisi, and Jessica Kulekshian. Details at petuniasbooks.com. And from the Central Valley Journalism Collaborative, connecting communities with the resources, infrastructure, and networks to ensure a vibrant local free press.
From KVPR in Fresno, this is Central Valley Daily. It's Tuesday, April 22nd. I'm Elizabeth Arkalian. Let's face it, life can get stressful, and things can start to feel like they're building up with no end in sight.
Long-term stress can lead to sleep changes. It can lead to dietary changes where we either don't have an appetite or we just binge eat.
Coming up, a Bakersfield neurologist gives us advice on how to best manage stress. But first, these news headlines. Catholics around the San Joaquin Valley are mourning Pope Francis. Vatican officials say history's first Latin American pontiff died in the early hours of Monday from a stroke. Parishioners in Bakersfield told KVPR's Joshua Yeager that this pope leaves behind a legacy of tolerance.
Daily Mass at St. Philip the Apostle Cathedral is far busier than usual. More than 100 parishioners are here to mourn Pope Francis. Among them is Felix Garcera, who has been attending services at the Bakersfield Church for 40 years.
It's totally a great loss for us. He has been the Pope of the masses, of all the people, especially the poor, and he will be greatly missed.
Some of Kern County's LGBTQ community is also mourning the religious leader. Audrey Chavez runs the Bakersfield AIDS Project, which supports HIV and AIDS patients. After Mass, she lays flowers at a memorial.
I'm thankful for the blessing from Pope Francis, who speaks out that it's okay to love our gay community, to be part of our gay community as we are for who we are.
Chavez says she hopes Francis's successor will continue his message of acceptance. For KVPR News, I'm Joshua Yeager in Bakersfield.
Valley leaders also expressed their grief on Monday for the death of Pope Francis. Fresno Congressman Jim Costa released a statement that said the world lost a spiritual leader who had a profound impact. Congressman David Valadeo of Hanford took to social media to say the pontiff's acts inspired Catholics everywhere, and he hoped his legacy would guide the future of humanity. Bishop Joseph Brennan of the Fresno Catholic Diocese said, quote, Pope Francis's unwavering spirit of service has left a profound and lasting impact on the life of the Church. And speaking of Congressman David Valadeo, he has declared he will not support major budget cuts to Medicaid. Valadeo signed a letter to House Speaker Mike Johnson last week, stating that balancing the federal budget should not hurt those who depend on the program. The letter was delivered just before two progressive leaders came to Kern County to speak about the potential cuts. Republican lawmakers have proposed cutting more than $800 billion for Medicaid. More than half of Valadeo's district utilizes the program. A KVPR analysis found that legal fees have quadrupled at a community college district in the San Joaquin Valley. As KVPR's Rachel Livenall reports, the district is facing many lawsuits from current and former employees.
The State Center Community College District represents campuses in Fresno, Clovis, Madera, and Reedley. Budget documents revealed the district spent $1.2 million on legal services last year. That's compared to just $300,000 in 2022. Keith Ford is the president of the district's faculty union. He says litigation is becoming more common for faculty and administrators.
We used to be able to more amicably resolve things at a lower level, and that doesn't seem to be the trend with this administration.
Court documents show at least 12 lawsuits have been brought against the district since 2018 by faculty, staff, and students. A district spokesperson said in a statement that the rising costs are due to unavoidable legal challenges in today's environment. For KVPR News, I'm Rachel Livenall.
Officials with the River Park Shopping Center in Fresno have reversed a ban on Asian food trucks following huge public outcry. River Park managers announced on social media that they would reinstate Asian food vendors. About a dozen food trucks were affected by the ban. The owner of one told KVPR that the decision came as a shock and had left them speechless. River Park later clarified that the ban was intended to protect the business of its tenants. Managers say they're now working with Fresno Street Eats and the California Fresh Farmers Market Association to review all vendors hosted at weekly outdoor events.
The annual KVPR wine tasting is coming Sunday, May 4th. Once again, we'll be gathering at the beautiful Lester Estate on the San Joaquin River for an afternoon of wine and beer sampling, delectable food, and great friends. There will be live music, a silent auction, and a raffle to win $1,500. Complimentary round-trip bus transportation, including lunch, will be provided in Bakersfield and Visalia. Tickets are now on sale at kvpr.org/wine.
And now to our main story. April is Stress Awareness Month, but honestly, this is a topic we could talk about year-round. Managing stress is critical to our overall well-being. Throughout life, we may have distinct periods of stress, like a move or a death in the family. There's also chronic stress, like prolonged worrying about finances, the environment, or the state of our country. I know our producer Jonathan and I often talk about the stress of just keeping up with the news cycle. For many, it seems like changes are happening at breakneck speed. So how can we reduce stress when it feels like we're not in control? To get some tips, we spoke with Dr. Laura Ragna. She's a neurologist at Bakersfield Memorial Hospital. While her specialty is the nervous system, she's also credentialed in psychiatry. In this conversation, we discuss the mind-body connection with Dr. Ragna as we explore ways to reduce stress in our daily lives. Dr. Ragna starts by explaining the different types of stress we can experience.
There's acute stress and long-term chronic stress. So let's just say I'm going for a walk, I'm going for a hike. I run into a bear, which I don't want to run into a bear or a mountain lion, but I do. And so my body would have a heightened sense, and my body would go into a fight or flight type of situation. And at that point, my body would just pull all its resources and get me out of the situation that I'm in. And then people can have chronic long-term stress, which is not ideal because that's not really sustainable for the body. And it will pull resources from other body systems to maintain that higher level of stress. And as a result, it can cause chronic inflammatory conditions and other long-term effects on the body.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering about, was the physical manifestations of problems that can happen when you're experiencing long-term stress. What are some examples?
So let's just talk about when we get either fearful or anxiety. We can get palms that are sweaty. We can have increased heart rate. We can get a little nervous. Those are our flight or fight mechanisms kicking in. And long-term stress can lead to sleep changes. It can lead to dietary changes where we either don't have an appetite or we just binge eat things that are heavy in sugar and heavy in fats that are not so great for you. It can lead to emotional instability. It can lead to physical pain. So people can have headaches. They can have muscle tension. And then it can lead to cardiovascular issues too, where people can have heart disease. And mind you, heart disease is the number one leading cause of mortality, according to the CDC. And for women, it can present atypically compared to men. So the most common complaint for women would be chest pain. And sometimes their chest pain isn't the same way as men, where it's this, substernal tightness in the chest that radiates down the left arm. It can be more toward the back. It can be shortness of breath. It can be jaw pain. It can be nausea. It can be difficulty breathing. And because it's not the typical chest pain or cardiovascular symptoms, it can be easily dismissed by both the practitioner and by the patient. They could just think it's anxiety, because anxiety can look like that. But it's so important to recognize these symptoms and understand that if your heart is affected, you want to get it checked out. And at the very least, if you don't go to the ER, if you don't think it's a very emergent issue, you can definitely follow up with your primary care doctor. You get an EKG as an outpatient or some basic blood work to just guide your outpatient management. And if you need inpatient management, then your course will change accordingly.
Yeah, I appreciate you explaining really the difference between that sort of adrenaline flooding your body in like an urgent situation versus these ongoing issues that can manifest into larger heart-related issues or whatnot, because I think there is a lot of stress in modern life today. And part of why we're speaking is because April is Stress Awareness Month. And right now it's particularly stressful for people. There's a lot of unknowns going on in our culture, in our society. If someone is feeling stressed out, are there some coping mechanisms that you can recommend to people?
There are lots of great stress management techniques. I think exercise is the biggest one. And, you can go running in a park, running in your neighborhood, and that doesn't really cost anything but time. And it's a great way to release the happy biochemistry to make you feel better as an individual. And that can involve going and getting a physical therapy referral through your practitioner, or just going out for a jog, a walk. A walk is simple. Anybody could do it. And just being outdoors makes you feel better. Mindful practices like meditation, deep breathing, yoga, regular checkups are so important just for preventative care. Checking in with your doctor or your practitioner, making sure your blood pressure is at goal, your cholesterol is that goal, your overall health is where it should be, that you're optimizing yourself and safeguarding yourself from, any complications, or just making sure that you're the best you that you can be. It's also important to have great social support, reaching out to friends, not isolating yourself. And if you're going through a problem, reaching out to somebody who can have your ear, that you can rely on, and somebody that you can just discuss your problems with, whether it's a friend, neighbor, congregation member, or a therapist. It's just really, really great to release your stress so that it's cathartic and it doesn't stay bottled up and manifest as like high blood pressure or headaches or anxiety. I think being balanced in life is just a really, really important thing.
I want to mention, too, that new research that was released in March looked at younger adults and found that chronic stress can significantly increase the risk of stroke, particularly in women under 50. Besides some of the things you just discussed, what are some things people can do to prevent stress from having that kind of impact on their body? I mean, you mentioned how appetite can be affected. Are there certain foods or, diet staples we should be mindful of as we navigate this?
From a neurological standpoint, I think just foods that are healthy, that support the nervous system, are great. So that's fish-based food, the omega-3 fatty acids, any type of nuts, almonds, pecans, blueberries, berries in general. Those are really, really great at supporting the nervous system. In addition to just basic overall nutrition, watching what you eat. So let's say brown carbohydrates, low processed foods, that would probably be the best thing for you.
Anything else you'd like to add, Dr. Ragna?
I would. I think it's important to state that if people feel that they are in a situation where they feel like they're self-harm, or they know somebody that is either self-harm or harm to others, that I don't know if you could provide a self-help link or a phone number to get assistance. Or I would just say if there's community centers to people so that they don't feel alone, because when you share with other people, you're kind of releasing that stress factor, and it's really, really great form of therapy.
And the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is 988, or people can go to 988lifeline.org. Dr. Laura Ragna, neurologist at Bakersfield Memorial Hospital, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
And that's today's show. I hope you get a moment today to get outside, take a walk, or practice those deep breaths. Today's episode was produced by Jonathan Linden and KVPR with support from the Central Valley Journalism Collaborative. I'm Elizabeth Arkalian. You can find the latest local news anytime at kvpr.org.
This is Tanya Mosley, co-host of Fresh Air. You'll see your favorite actors, directors, and comedians on late-night TV shows or YouTube. But what you get with Fresh Air is a deep dive. Spend some quality time with people like Billie Eilish, Questlove, Ariana Grande, Stephen Colbert, and so many more. We ask questions you won't hear asked anywhere else. Listen to the Fresh Air podcast from NPR and WHYY.